Hello, my beautiful babies, and welcome to Incal Club Session 5, our final session in this book club series. Pat yourself on the back for getting through it. Not that it was that hard, because it's such a fun comic to read. But for this session, you need to read the last 2 issues in this graphic novel. So you need to read the 5th Essence Part 1 and the 5th Essence Part 2. And also, I do have some Incal boxes with the graphic novel available. I think I only have 2 of them left. If you're interested in reading the book and you don't have a copy of it, I got your back. I got 2 more of these. And I also have a bunch of the Incal packs as well, which have all the merch minus the book. And it comes with this really cute Incal Club bookmark with John Difool on one side, Anima on the other side. We've got an Incal Club enamel pin. It's really cute. And then also there is an Anima cosplay poster, 11x17, an Anima 8x10 signed photo, and a nice little thank you card. So yeah, so I'm so excited to get into it today with you guys. We are going to start with a recap of everything that went on. So first, let me make myself a little smaller and we can check out all these beautiful slides I made for you this week. It's a lot of slides. It's a double stuffed episode today. Double stuffed Oreo. All right, here we go. Let me turn off my graphic here that I also, wrong graphic that I made for you. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, looking good. So we are in the 5th Essence Part 1, The Dreaming Galaxy. The crew is back in Vitaville H2O, the underwater city, and after being discovered, the Great Darkness that has infected the Emperoress is going crazy. It's attacking everybody. Oh wait, hold on. Let me click this so we can... There we go. It's going crazy. It's attacking everybody until a Medusa shows up and contains it. The corrupted twins are kind of sucked inside of it and saving the day, saving everybody. And post-attack, Ramo and the crew are having a little strategy meeting about how they are going to defeat this great darkness. And John has fucking had it. He is over it. He's done with all this saving the galaxy business, and he storms out of the meeting. He's like, you guys gotta stop. This keeps happening. When does it end? Fuck this. I'm out. With John's whiny ass out of the way, they continue their meeting, and they're discussing the delicate political position they're in since they've lost the Emperoress, who was set to retake their throne. They decide, okay, well, fuck. I guess we just need to bring this Medusa with what's left of the Emperoress in it to court to help people like come together against the Great Darkness. This isn't really great for us, but this is kind of our only option right now. And the Incal senses that the Great Darkness is centering itself in the Techno-Centrar who survived the Battle of Technogia and has absconded to the War Star. Not to be confused with a Star War. This is a War Star, which is a massive hidden military complex. Greyfield, who is now a prisoner, the Mentrek, he offers to let the crew, he's like, hey, they took me there when they did all that stuff to me, and even though I was unconscious, my brain was still recording everything, so you can just plug me into a terminal, and I can help you find the data, and we can figure out where the War Star is. So they go, great. They hook him up in this really chill hookup station. That's just super easy and no big deal. Their plan works, and they find the coordinates to the War Star. I just think this whole thing is just really cool. It's so much and like so out of control, but I really enjoy it. It's very well done. Mœbius, yet again, always killing it. So Anima finds John pouting on top of a Medusa above the waters of Aquend. And John begs her to leave with him. He's like, let's go to a quiet planet where we can just be happy together. Like, fuck this shit. Let's just go. And she's like, I would love to go with you to a paradise planet and be happy with you. Like, I would yes, let's do it. And he's like, really? Really? She's like, yeah, but only if you infiltrate the War Star first. And he's like, no, I don't, this is like, you want me to do the most dangerous thing that I could possibly do? Like, are you fucking kidding? You just sent me to go fight thousands of people at a nuptial cone games, and now I'm gonna go have to infiltrate the War Star. Okay, that sounds great. But in a wonderful comedic beat, he comes around. He goes anyways. His horniness wins out, and he's like, fuck, I will go. Fine. So John and Greyfield travel to the War Star unarmed and are immediately taken prisoner, and they pretend to be traitors and offer to sell the Incal to the Techno-Centrar and the Iman. He's not the Iman, he's just Iman. And meanwhile, on the Golden Planet, Ramo has brought the Medusa containing the Emperoress and pleads to, the Senate to marshal the Imperial fleet against the War Star. It's not going well. The Great Darkness ends up overriding the Medusa, and the corrupted Emperoress breaks free and threatens to annihilate everybody. It's just like, man, like, it's so sinister. Like, oh my lord, it's just like out of control. So back on the War Star, John and Greyfield are being interrogated. Greyfield asks Iman and Sturlog to unfreeze his granddaughter Crystal. He's back on that shit because they're like, what do you want? Okay, so John wants like his own paradise planet. All right, what do you want for selling us the Incal? And he's like, I just want you to unfreeze my granddaughter. And so they present him with her still frozen form, and threaten to break off another finger or a nose if he doesn't tell them what's really going on, because they know this is bullshit. And Greyfield, being a traitorous traitor that he is, immediately breaks and tells them the real plan, that the Incal is inside John, and that Ramo and the Colonials are going to launch a massive assault against the War Star. It's like, this guy sucks. He's just the worst, he's terrible. The Techno-Centrar attacks John with the darkness. Give him the old darkness. And by the way, I just want you to check out like who are these guys? I need more of these like kitty cat men. Like, I'm really excited about these characters. Like, I don't know. There's some futars over here. Like, I'm so excited about them. They're very cute. And the crew. So, like I said, the Incal is inside John. John is now being infiltrated by the Great Darkness. The crew wants to escape to help John before he's overtaken. But Saloon refuses, saying that they need to wait until the very last moment, which is really upsetting Anima. And I love Anima's journey of going from this very archetypal kind of perfect spiritual lady to very human. Like, as she falls more and more in love with John, she becomes more and more human. And I think that's also why her hair changes from like a white color in the first few issues, and then now it's like a blue color. And I was like, oh, is that like some sort of signal that she's just like becoming like more of a human and less of a pure archetypal thing? And yeah, and she's also wearing clothes too. That's very true, Alrock. But Ramo and crew, so while all this is going on, Ramo and crew, they're running real late. They had to send for another Medusa to contain the crazy Emperoress. And they decide to use subspace to jump to the War Star. but they don't know its exact coordinates. And the War Star is also in an asteroid field, so jumping subspace into this is actually a really bad idea, and a lot of people are probably going to die. But, they finally make it. They have jumped too close. The battle begins. It is not going well. The Imperial fleet lose like a third of their people really quickly. They want to disengage back into subspace because they're like, we're getting annihilated out here. But having faith in the Incal, Ramo holds the fleet steady and refuses to let them leave. Now, hearing of the arrival of the fleet, the Incal is, it's like, all right, it's time to book it. Let's get out of John. Let's fucking get out of town. But he is covered in the dark plasma. And they escape through the last single hair, as seen here. There's one single hair on his head that has not been encapsulated by the darkness. And so they fly out through that. Here we go. Zoop. And they blow up and get bigger. And it's go time, baby. It's time. It's time to battle. The crew escapes and they become full size. They start fucking shit up. They're flying around in these little bubbles that have like these little force field shields. And they're just blasting motherfuckers on their way to the central computer. And I love these little flying bubble ships. It's so awesome. What a scene. And below the battle, Greyfield blocks Iman and Sturlog from escaping, demanding that they unfreeze Crystal. They're like, you said you were going to unfreeze my granddaughter. Sturlog refuses. Greyfield punches her in the nose, knocking her into Crystal's form, which falls to the ground and shatters, which is like, oh no, oh my goodness, this is so terrible. And also, I want to point out the little tail on Sturlog's outfit here. That's like, it's a very interesting little detail, it's like this like little animal creature. But anyways, so Iman's like, let's go, babe. Like, let's get out of here. And while they're running out, Greyfield has captured a freeze fray, freezes Sturlog. Sturlog now is shattered into a million pieces. And it's the big showdown between Greyfield and Iman. And I love his little angry baby. He gets so mad. He's so mad. And he grabs a shattered piece of his lover. And they die. It's a duel. He's frozen and he's stabbed in the gut, and that's the end of their story. They end up killing each other, which felt good, because they're both terrible. So I was glad to see their mutual destruction. In the battle above, the Endo guards they blast Kill Wolfhead out of the air. And Depot swoops in. Depot's got his own little bubble. He swoops in and saves Wolfhead from certain death. I love Kill down here. It's like, Depot, you are my brother. He's just like, thank you so much. And like Depot like means business. Look at him. He's like, I'm fucking get you, get out of here. I'm fucking blast you. He's such a great character. So Depot, Tanata, and the Meta Baron, they find the central computer and they destroy it, which renders the War Star defenseless, making an opening for Ramo and what's left of his fleet with their assault. So they go back on the offensive. Thank you, Backflip Faceplant, for subscribing. And Anima has abandoned the battle to take care of poor John. Poor John is just covered in this foul-smelling, awful, evil, dark plasma. And she starts giving him CPR, and he wakes up during this. And John wants some more sugar. Okay, he's like, oh, get over here, mama. And this is not a great time for that. So the War Star surrenders, the crew reassembles, and the Meta Baron is keeping John in horny jail because he's been infected by the Great Darkness. So it brings out his lesser nature. I mean, he's already kind of a horny dude, but like it makes him like even like more horny and like weird. I mean, I love how he's like, it's never the right time. Let me go. I want her. I'll get her. Like, he's just like so ready. He's so mad. Like, he just wants to get laid. He's like, please, I just want to have sex with this woman. And they put like a little, I love that down here, he gets like a little shock blanket. Are you feeling better, John? He's like, I don't know. I feel sick to my stomach. Like, I don't feel so good, guys. Like, this is terrible. And another great switcheroo, the lights go off. And this is just like such a perfect way to express the lights being off while still being able to see the characters. Like, think of that as an artist. You're like, oh, okay, so the lights, everything goes dark. Well, how are you supposed to like show that through drawings? And this is just like the perfect way to do that, where they're like in these silhouettes with just a little bit of light on them. It's so well done. I'm just very impressed. Forever impressed by Mœbius and his artistic decisions. So they meet up with Ramo and company, and the War Star goes into a blackout. The Techno-Centaur has escaped, and the leader of the Endo Guard, who's been captured, but they're like, hey, you've captured us, it's fine, like, we'll help you. They're not haters. They tell them that he must have gone to the War Star's core and offers to lead them there. But Saloon is already on top of business. He has been following the Techno-Centaur, hasn't let him out of his sight. He has destroyed the launcher at the core so that the Great Darkness cannot escape. And so now these two are locked in battle. And the darkness destroys Saloon's octohedron shell. So we got our little boy back. He's no longer just a weird triangle. So it's good to see you, Saloon. I like having you back in the mix. It feels good. And it tries to tell Saloon that it's like, the more that you believe that you're going to defeat the Great Darkness, the more you're playing into the Great Darkness's hands, babe. Like, you're playing right into my shit. Like, you're a toy for me. Not listening. Saloon vows to hunt the Great Darkness to its lair and rips the Techno-Centaur's helmet off, which, oh my gosh, this is such a cool panel. Like, rips it off, and it's like all this goo. Like, ew. And he ends up unleashing the darkness inside. Saloon is swallowed and falls into its primordial dimension. And I think it's really cool that he falls into this like kind of evil skull, which to me, it's like, okay, so he's now being sucked into the mental plane. Like, he's being sucked into the mental plane, which is like, okay, here we go. You know, like, he's being sucked into a skull, which is perfectly indicative of that. And on this plane, the Great Darkness captures Saloon and explains to him, by coming here, he has broken the barrier of light separating it from the material universe, and the gateway is now open, and the Great Darkness is free to fuck up the universe. And before our boy Saloon can be destroyed, the Incal comes to his rescue and transforms him into a being of light, subduing the Great Darkness yet again, but not killing it. And, you know, how we saw John earlier, where John is turned into a more perfect, beautiful looking being when he is, you know, possessed or is channeling the Incal. You see here how Saloon kind of turns into this like Grecian statue, like this very stylized Grecian statue, which I think is really nifty. And also I love the Great Darkness, how it's represented, where it's like, it's just like a thing, like just like this amorphous thing with red eyes and little spikes coming out of it, and it's changing shape, and it doesn't have one shape. I think that's really well done. And seeing this guy behind all of these panels. I mean, in these particular last two issues, Mœbius really breaks a lot of panel borders and is doing a lot of like going all the way to the edge of pages, which I really enjoyed. When I was going back over all this art, I was just like, wow, this is so well done. So the gang gets to the core. They open it up. Saloon's inside. He's just asleep. He's fine. The Techno-Centaur's head has been exploded. And Saloon awakens and he warns them. And he's like, oh no, I broke the barrier and now the entire universe is in danger. Like, oh, what did I do? I like that he's such a good boy. He's such an honest boy. He's just going to immediately like cop to it, unlike his father, who would probably not cop to it at all. Back on the Golden Planet, all the different factions at court are back to their old ways and fighting amongst themselves for power, as per usual when we're in political meetings. Ramo, I mean, like, look at these guys. I mean, you know, they just can't give it a rest. It's just like, it never ends with these people, you know, and they're just like, what are we going to do? We're fucked. By the way, also Tanata is looking hot as fuck. Let's just zero in on her for a moment. Yes. Like, please, more of that outfit. And as they're fighting, the Emperoress breaks out of the Medusa and goes on the attack, threatening to, you know, crush everyone. Saloon approaches this corrupted being and he transforms once again into his dual axis, his male-female axis. And he fights the Emperoress, defeats the Dark Emperoress, and in its dying breath, it tells them that it doesn't matter. You're too late. In 22 days, the darkness is going to fall across the heart of the galaxy. Okay, lights out for you motherfuckers. It's over. The court, witnessing Saloon's transformation and triumph, demand that he become their new Emperoress. So like, wait a minute. This is the guy. This is the guy. Okay. He just turned into an Emperoress right there that looks way cooler. We love him. Let's do it. It's a miracle. Everyone is into it. Saloon accepts and he asks the Supreme Galactic Authority to be known as the Padma henceforth. He does not want to be known as the Emperoress. He is the Padma. And I was doing a little research into Padma and I realized, I was like, oh, patriarchy, matriarchy, like Padma. It's the male and the female. So like that's where he got that from, which I think is really cute. The old patriarchy, matriarchy smushed together. He declares, and Saloon now gives his first proclamation as the Padma to the human empire. And he declares that the great darkness has not been defeated and that humankind is facing total extermination of all life in 22 days. The darkness will fall unless all of humanity joins to face the threat as one. They all must enter a deep slumber state known as the Theta Dream or die. And if you didn't know, there's different types of brainwave patterns that we have. And, you know, like I said, up here you have your beta, where you're your normal, awake, alert, conscious mind. SMR, you know, like a little calmer. Your alpha, okay, we got some lucidity, relax, not thinking. And then the theta level, deep relaxation. And this is a level that we achieve during meditation. It's that place that's like right in between being asleep and being awake. Like, I feel like the alpha, like you're still kind of awake, and then delta, you're definitely asleep. And theta is like right in between there. And you know, that's where the magic happens. I mean, right there in that little theta zone. So that's where he needs humanity. He needs all of humanity to close their eyes and get on that theta train. Obviously, you know, the Senate's like, you know, he concludes his broadcast. Human empire is in an uproar. They're seriously doubtful that this insane goal can or will be achieved. Ramo urges them to follow instructions, saying that if they can just get one world to enter the theta dream, that the rest will follow. We just got to get one guy doing it, and then it'll totally work. All they need, though, is the Imperial Holovid net and a media star that will sway the masses. But unfortunately, the Holovid net is offline, and generally media stars are assholes. So Remo is like, well, I guess we just have to pray for a miracle then. Just pray for a miracle. I've seen it. Depot put a rose in my hands. They can happen. So let's just pray. Meanwhile, John is busy stealing gold because the Golden Planet isn't called the Golden Planet for no reason. It's covered in gold. And John does not believe Saloon's plan is going to work. He wants to escape to, surprise, a paradise planet to enjoy his last 22 days. And while trying to fit more gold in his bags, John finds the president's head of the necro droid. He finds the president's head, and it's so cute. He's like, the president immediately is like, I forgive you for everything. Now take me to the Padma. I have some vital information for him. Like, he's like, I totally forgive you. It's fine. I think it's so cute. All the forgiveness going on is really adorable to me. And so at first John refuses. He's like, fuck off. And the president's like, you know what? How about I just broadcast you stealing? Like, I could just broadcast you stealing all this gold. And, and at first John's like, well, I don't give a fuck. He's like, yeah, but what will Anima think of that? You think that she would like that? And he's like, fine, I will take you to the Padma. A meeting is called. The gang meets the president again. He tells them that he is still control, one, of the entire Holovid Imperial Broadcast Network. So that solves their problem of transmitting the message of the Theta Dream to the whole human empire. And two, they need to plug him in so that they can check out the feed that's coming out of Terra 21. There's something really, really crazy going on. And I also really enjoyed down here this panel where John's like, I don't get it. He was set to rub us out before. Why is he helping us now? And he's like, he understands power, father. And now we are the power. It's just like, oh, very true, Saloon. That's why you're the Padma. So we check out what's going on, what's coming out of Terra 21. And we have Difool, who is the shell-shocked news anchor from our last episode. And he has pulled a total 180. He is looking great. He's feeling good. He brings news that the survivors of Terra 21, which their population is 90% children, they have mobilized and entered the Theta Dream, that they have developed a technique with the help of the Arhats that is easy to master and will help the rest of the Empire enter the Theta Dream. He tells them, with faith and enthusiasm and all the music and glitter that such a sacred task must command, we shall dazzle them, galvanize them, and intoxicate them. We shall teach them to dream is to live. And now we have our new media star. We were looking for a media star. It's Difool. And again, I like John's like, this guy's a piece of shit, like, what are you guys? And he's like, no, he's fine now. Like, I love all these 180s that happen where it's like, oh, he was an asshole. Like, you see him in the first issue where he's like putting on fake tears and he's like putting on makeup to look like he's been like hit by the riots while he's talking about them. I mean, he's just kind of like, again, a soulless media fucking shill. And then you see him, last thing where he's like shell shocked. He can't doom scroll anymore. He doesn't know what to do with himself. And apparently, getting off the doom scrolling and getting on the Theta Dream life has really just like helped him out. He's looking great. He's got high kicks. And like, also, I will say, I'm going to give, this is my one negative critique. Here's one negative critique of this, like of all the art and all of this. I don't know what's going on here with this whole deal of him talking. Like, it's like, wait, do I start reading here? I guess I go over here, but it doesn't really like make sense. Like, this is fucked. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, I was having the hardest time. This is the only time I've had a difficult time. Like, wait, where do I, whatever. Anyways. But yeah, so and not only do we have our new media star, he's got a great slogan and everything. To dream is to live. I mean, he's got marketing going on, and it's like so cool to see again, where it's like, you know, personally, I'm like, ooh, the media is really gross. And like a lot of people are also thinking that, because it is. And like, it's nice to see like this thing where it's like, oh, now it can be used for something that isn't terrible. It can be used in a way that's really positive and super helpful. And it's really nice to see an example of that, where you're just like, yes, like I like it. That makes me happy. So the broadcast takes over all the channels and begins to work its magic all over the galaxy. A theta processor is developed and distributed, and that helps accelerate the process by 90%. So everybody comes together. We're like working hard. Diavoolu is just like fucking going hard on there. We got these processors out. Everyone from everyday people to violent revolutionaries to the elite get on board. And, you know, and it's, again, I love this whole, like you see these guys just like regular schmoes on their couch. And Momo, he's already fallen asleep. Momo's already in the theta dream, baby. He already made it. And then you cut to this other planet of these people with these like little high ponies. And then like they're starting to get into it. These crowds are starting to get into it. These guys are like slowly kind of coming in on it. You have the revolutionaries. This guy's pissed because this whole little moment, his coup is over because his people are just like going into the dream. But hey, Chief, maybe this time dreaming, you know, that's the revolution. And then we even have like the elites down here. You know, it's like, oh, how can you stand that awful host? Oh. And he's like, yes, but it's the children are so cute and wonderful. Like, it'll be exquisite to follow their example. So you see people from like the middle class, you know, the low class, the high class, they're all getting on board all over the galaxy. And they make it. They get to 100% saturation 2 days ahead of schedule, which is, oh my gosh, can you believe it? But wait, according to the Incal, there are 78 billion humans who have not joined the Theta Dream. John's children with Barbaraya on Orgargan, which is the Berg's home planet, which isn't in this galaxy. It's in a different galaxy. It's outside the human empire. They're technically, they're Bergs, but they're technically humans. And fortunately for them, these 78 billion, they are all one. So converting one will be enough to convert the rest. Meanwhile, John continues to steal gold for his escape. And he's trying to get a plane, you know, to go to his a ship to go to his paradise planet. He's having a hard time. He finally finds one. He's heading out there, and his bag is so heavy that it's falling apart. And I love the depot over here, as they say, and I'm not going to say that in Spanish, but greed breaks the bag. So I guess there's a Spanish saying that greed breaks the bag, which I think is a really fantastic saying. I've never heard that before, and it totally makes sense. Anima greets him there at the ship that he's supposedly taking. She's like, where are you going, babe? And he's like, no, I'm just cleaning up some pieces of the city that fell off. What are you doing here? Hey, why don't we take this ship? Why don't we go to a paradise planet? And she goes, yes, let's do it. But first, I'm going to need you to go convert these 78 billion people on this planet. It's only going to take you a couple days. And at first, again, he's upset, but Horny wins out again. And him and Depot take the ship to Orgargan with the mission of converting 78 billion people into the Theta Dream in less than 48 hours. Time is running out. So now we're at part 2 of the 5th essence, Planet Difool. So John and Depot approach the planet. They're immediately spotted by an overly aggro air patrol. They're like, God, these guys sound mad, you know, like what the fuck is wrong with these guys? When they land, And the fighter pilots, they see John and they go, oh, whatever. It's just another John Diff. They turn off their disintegrators. They fuck off. And Depot is like, these Bergs are crazy. Like, what is going on here? And the two disembark and head off into the city. And Difool finds a brothel bar that reminds him of home. And he heads inside looking for a good time, looking for a good old, some whiskey, some SPV, a little homeo horror action. But so he spots one from behind, and she turns around, and he is shocked to find that she looks just like him. Misreading the disgust and confusion on his face, she lets him know that they have other models available if she's not what he's looking for, pulls back the curtains, and shows a den of sex workers who all look like John. And in a daze, he's bumped by another male patron with a bad attitude, who, surprise, looks just like him. So I know you can't miss that nose. It's true limited knowledge. It's true. And he's so sad. Like, he's like, oh no, I've got to go find somebody normal. Like, he's stuck on a planet of 78 billion hymns. And Depot, like, sick burns him. He's like, wow, Mission Impossible, bro. I loved it. It's like, Depot, fucking sick burn. And now we see, like, why the fighter pilots were, like, such dicks, because they're all like their dad. They just, like, have shitty attitudes. And I love him being confronted with himself. You know, it's like this mirror of himself. And it's really disturbing and upsetting to see, you know, yourself be what you really are. You know, it's like seeing himself be an asshole. He leaves the bar. He's freaked out. He and Depot stumble upon an angry mob in the town square, shouting obscenities at their proto-father and burning a giant effigy of his head. And John just can't take it. He's this poor guy. He's like, no! And, like, you know, this is so real. I was thinking about, like, I was reading this and I was thinking about, you hear that, like, this is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. You know, we're entering the Age of Aquarius. And I feel like, yes, I see it. I see all these, like, weird patterns. Maybe it's confirmation bias. I don't know. But I see it, and I see the way people are, like, the way society is shifting and the way attitudes are shifting. And some of it's for the better, but some of it is not for the better. And some of it's, like, very Aquarian, but in the worst way. And I'm an Aquarius, and it's like, I feel like that. I'm like, oh God, we are awful. Oh no, Aquarius sucks. Like, oh no, like, oh, I see it now. I hope I wasn't this, like, annoying. Maybe I'm this annoying. Like, it's a fun, you know, it's fun to see yourself mirrored, and then you're just like, you have a little wake up call there, and you're like, oh fuck. So the mob leaves. The sun rises. John's trying to come out of his freak out. He sees a Berg, a bird Berg, and he's being chased out of town by another mob of angry John Diffs. I love that they're called John Diffs. John Diffs. And they're fucking, you know, get out of here. Why don't you go croak on the dump, you know, like with the other parakeets. Like, we don't want your kind in town. Like, he's so awful. He's just, John's people, or his children, are so awful. They're just like him, wanting to die in peace. You know, he is like, fine. He goes out to this dump, this mass grave of genocided Bergs. Like, this poor beaten down guy. It's just like this stinking mass grave. And he's preparing to join his fallen people. And it's like, how awful. Like, normally the new generation lets the old generation just live and die off like normally, but these guys are such assholes that they've just corralled them all into a giant mass grave. And it's like, it's just, they're the worst. So the Berg sees John, is like, fuck off, dude. Like, let me just die in peace here. And he's like, I'm not a fucking John Diff. I am the Proto-Father. It's like, what has happened here? And the Berg tells him that, you know, this supposed golden age that they were entering, because remember, there was a legend that after 24,000 impregnations, they would enter a golden Berg age. And it's not. It's a fucking nightmare. Unlike the other impregnations, this one was the only one where Barbaraya fell in love. And that love turned to hate after John abandoned her and kissed Anima right in front of his baby mama while she was pregnant. And that hate grew with every egg, and she hates all of her children because they remind her of her father and of his betrayal. And so, you know, because their mother hates them, the John Diffs hate themselves. They hate her. And most of all, they hate their father, whom they see as the cause of their misfortune. And the last Berg calls John a curse on this galaxy before dying and joining his brothers and sisters. So John's like, fuck, he goes back to the city. He begins witnessing on the streets. He's calling the John Diffs to join the Theta Dream, and he is chased off by the police. They're like, you gotta get out of here. You can't be a prophet out here. Like, fuck off. So he's like, okay, fine. I'll go proselytize. I can't say it. I'm going to go be a prophet and tell him my stuff to the bums. But the bums don't want to hear it either. They also chase him off. And they're like, why don't you go try the slaves? So he goes to the nuptial, the cone. He goes to the cone. And the slaves, surprise, are the mutants from that we, you know, have met back on John's planet. And they are cleaning up all of the messy afterbirth of the John Diffs. And while they're there, the last John Diff is born. Poop, just plops out of the egg, like pops out of the top, rolls down the hill. And John's thinking, oh, well, maybe I could witness to this guy because he hasn't been, you know, poisoned yet. Like, he's brand new. So maybe he'll be like willing to listen. So this new John Diff pops out of the egg, fully formed, and get out of my way, buddy. I need a glass of whiskey and a homeo whore on each arm fast. And you stupid proto-cow, next time, pick a better mate. He's just angry. He just pops out angry. It's not nature and nurture. It's just nature with these guys. They come out rotten to the last. And he runs off screaming. And so it's like, oh, well, I guess that's not going to work. So Gorgo the Foul happens to be here. The guy that John bested, like Gorgo the Foul almost like was the Proto-Father. But he recognizes John by the smell, and they chase him back into town where they are stopped by the police who, you know, just assume that John is another John Diff, not the Proto-Father. But Gorgo lets them know that it's like, no, this isn't some crazy prophet. Like, that's the Proto-Father. And I love that John, like, is against himself. Yeah, he's lying. I'm a real John Diff. I curse the Proto-Father. I spit on his DNA. Like, he'll even sell himself out. Like, he's such a fucking asshole. But they're like, well, let's see your tummy. And oh my gosh, he's got a belly button. So he is not a John Diff. He is the Proto-Father, because they don't have belly buttons because they come out of eggs. And yeah, and I do like, yeah, Depot over here looking at the camera, breaking the fourth wall. Like, one thing's for sure, his problems have just started. Like, wah, wah. Like, it's so silly. I know the Depot fourth wall break is very money. Jay Sfamati, I agree. It's very cute. And two, it's like, you know, he's like, we were talking earlier about like breaking panel borders and like going like off of the page and all this stuff, like going off the bleed, and it's great. It looks really good. So there's only 4 hours left before the darkness destroys the human galaxy. And John has been tried and condemned to castration by his children before being torn apart by the crowd in the central square. So they're like, we're going to cut off your balls and then we're going to throw you to the crowd and let them tear you apart. So this is going to be great. He's paraded through the streets. He has to do a shame walk, you know, down the streets, getting pelted as he goes. And Depot is like, fuck, I got to figure something out. He gets an idea and he ends up flying to the cone. But also, let me just say, the color palette on these 2 pages in particular are very eye-catching. It's very rainbowy. We've got blues and purples and greens and yellows and oranges. It's just so well done. It's in the reds down here, the red here. Oh, and like, I love that this is, you know, the red, like, oh, going to the town square, like, oh, it's not gonna be good. And then like how red this panel is with all the angry people, all the mob going on. And also, too, I love the John Diffs that have different hair. Like, this one's like, I've got purple hair. Like, oh, it's the newscaster one. So, anyways, so Depot's like, oh, I got an idea. He goes to the cone. It's getting ready to close. He flies in right at the last moment. Barbariah is getting ready to go take a 5,000-year nap. And he... It's like, hey, I got some good news for you. Don't go to sleep. I got some good news. John Difool is alive and he's here to see you. And she's like, how is this good news again? Because like, I hate that guy for real. Defoe is like, no. Look, you made a mistake. Okay. You were never really in love with John. I got to prove something to you real quick. You were never really in love with John. She's like, what? And he's like, well, what was it about him that you loved? You know, did you think he was hot? Like, were you attracted to his physical form? She's like, no. It's like, well, did you enjoy having sex with him? She's like, I barely had time to enjoy it. Normally my orgasms could last for centuries. So no. Okay, so you loved his feelings for you? It's like, no, get out of here. He doesn't love anyone. It's like, okay, well then his intelligence then? And she's like, okay, what the fuck? Like, no, obviously. I was like, well then what is it? What is it? He does the Socratic method here. He's just asking her questions. He's not telling her what the deal is. He's just asking her questions and leading her to the answer so that she will accept it for herself. And she says, well, you know, he had this beautiful sublime light inside of him, of this almost infinite force of divine beauty. Depot tells her, well, that's the Incal, bro. That was the Incal. You didn't love John. You were just in love with the Incal. And she's like, oh, fuck, you're totally right. You're so right. And Depot does, you know, he does prove to her that she never was really in love with John. She admits her point. She admits that, yeah, he's right. And so her total perception is changed. Total change of perception. Back at the square, the mob is excited to witness John's balls getting cut off. And they're getting ready to, neuter him. Although, and again, too, I think it's so funny that we have this John Diff that's like wearing like a mask, like the executioner mask. Like, why bother? Like, what does it matter? But it's just, it's ritual. It's for show. You got to have the executioner mask. It's so cute. But right in the 11th hour, right before his balls get cut off, Barbariah shows up. She appears above them, and she publicly gives John her forgiveness, and she begs for her children's forgiveness. She's like, I'm so sorry. You really are the seed of the golden age. You are the miraculous children of the Incal. Like, I'm sorry, babes. I love you. I love my little babies. I love you're all beautiful babies. She tells them they're all beautiful babies and that she loves them very much. And the John Diffs are moved. I mean, who doesn't want to hear their mom say they love them when, they've had a tough time and they thought their mom hated them? They're moved and they reluctantly follow John's instructions to enter into the Theta Dream. But it's working. And it's, they're starting to fall asleep. But it's not working on Gorgo and his band of mutated humans. Gorgo's like, I'm not human. And they're like, hey, they just like John, Depot, and Barbara all give him a boost of self-esteem. They're like, you know what? This is for everyone. Like, and I love Depot's like, stop putting down your own kind, Gorgo. You came from the inner earth. So what? That's where the Incal was born, amidst the garbage. And he's like, everybody thinks I'm disgusting. And Barbara's like, I don't think you're disgusting, Gorgo. You are almost my mate. You know, like your heart is big and pure. And he's like, I don't disgust you. He's like, oh, maybe I'm a human. Maybe I can dream too. And so that's how they get the mutants on board. They gotta give them some love. And they have 3 hours to spare. So they got the 78 billion in the Theta Dream. 3 hours to spare. John and Depot say their goodbyes to Barbariah before she goes to sleep for 5,000 years. And they fuck off. And upon hearing, so John's like, that's great, we did it. Where are we going now? And Depot tells him, we're going back to Terra 21, where we're going to defeat the great darkness itself, John. And John has a real come apart, and Depot has to sedate him for their return journey home, which is going to take about 1 hour. So, you know, we're really cutting it close here. Back on Terra 21, the crew is assembled. The light of the sun is almost gone, and there's only 17 minutes left to 0 hour. The R-Hats show up. And, well, there they are. But before we get into the R-Hats, I really enjoy the levitating children and all these lines, and they all have these like little haircuts with these little ponytails, and they've shaved their heads. and it's like they're levitating because like they're in the Theta Dream so deep that like they just forgot about gravity. Like it doesn't even exist. It's like, whatever, you know, who cares? The R-Hats show up and they lead them down into the city shaft, which has been transformed. Totally. The walls look like they're made of jasper and marble. It's beautiful. It's been transformed by all the Theta Dream going on. All the children are dreaming, and it's like transforming their environment, which I think is really cool. Like things on the mental plane shifting things on the material plane. And they lead them down back to the the portal of transfiguration. They go to the Sun Core, go back to the portal of transfiguration. They take their positions at their appointed places, and the Incal is absorbing the pranic Theta Dream energy, you know, the chi, everybody's chi being in this like very powerful state, this very powerful hypnotic state. And they enter the dream. So they themselves become a part of the Theta Dream. They enter a null space, null time, which is like, you know, again, they're in the mental plane. Like they're in this limitless dimension without time or space. Because I mean, if you think about it, your imagination is huge. Like there is no time and space in there. And they're ready to confront the darkness. In the first circle, they descend and the darkness begins manipulating the crew using their inner monsters. So here we have a face-off with their shadow selves. It works to transform them into their worst fears in order to feed off of their terror. So and this is such a great horror scene. The Metabaron's bionic ear goes all Cronenberg on him. And then Tanita taps into her Kali energy. Kill transforms into a pack of ravenous wolves. Saloon transforms into this geriatric version of his dualistic selves. But hold on, let's just look at this all for just a second. Like, this is great. Her 6 arms, you know, it reminds me of Spiral from the X-Men. But again, she's supposed to be like a Kali, Indian goddess of destruction. And then she just keeps devolving into this weird fucking angry spider creature, and then all these wolves like busting out of Kill. And then let me move myself a little bit. Hold on. This is really cool too. I love the way that Saloon looks before his transformation. his face, like it's all like weird and like, ugh. It's very scary. It's very horror driven. Let's see here. Let's go to our next page. And then, these two super old weird skeleton things like wrapped in this embrace, busting out of Saloon. And then Anima just like decaying before her own eyes is just like totally horrific. I mean, this is just so well done with all these pus coming out of these boils and just like all this viscera just like leaking out everywhere. Ugh, it's so awful. I know, literal nightmare fuel, Davey. Absolutely. This picture of Anima is my favorite. It's so crazy. It's just so horrific and terrifying. And again, like this is something that I'm excited to see in a live action film. Like, I'm like, are we going to do this? Because we better do this in the live action film. Because like, I really want to see this. So John, he's been on a sedative, mind you, this whole time. He's still kind of fucked up from these sedatives, and he kind of wakes up out of it, and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, holy shit, what's wrong with you guys? And poor Depot regresses into a chicken. Look at his cute little chicken face before he gets eaten by the pack of kill wolves. Oh no. Oh, poor little Depot. And because of John's experiences with Barbaraya, for some reason he's immune. I don't know. I really can't explain that one, but he's immune to this situation. The Incal uses him once again as his channel. Gosh, look at this bloodbath going on here. And he's like, all right, you can use me, do your thing. And look how cute he is again. Oh, he's so beautiful. And his companions need to stop fighting and face their fears and accept themselves in order to transform back. He tells them that every horror contains a positive seed. A nightmare is but a gift in disguise. The Metabaron has to accept his bionic ear. Okay, it's not terrible to have this cybernetic thing. I know it's not optimal, but like it's not evil. Restores the harmony of music within you. It's totally fine. Tanata, you must see that your inner violence is only a reflection of your primordial creative energies. It's totally fine. Kill. Your beast-like nature enables you to better master your reality. Saloon, you must accept your transition from a finite individual into a being of infinite wholeness. You're a being of infinite wholeness. And Anima, accept death and your transition away from the material plane to eternity. Like you're just going to be fertilizer. This is the new seed. You're going to be great. This is wonderful. Don't be afraid of it. And Depot, so cute, must accept his inclination to give too much of himself away to others. You give too much of yourself away to enrich your friends. Although they don't say too much. He says you always give yourself to enrich your friends. It's very sweet. And it works. The crew is back. They are now entering the second circle after sharing their nightmares. And like, I love how the Incal is like getting really distorted. Like it's like, whoa, things are getting weird. And this time, the darkness begins attacking the Incal rather than the crew inside. And the Incal tells them that they must dive deeper than the Theta dream. They must go in the Da'at dream. The darkness is attempting to take control of the Black Incal, and the Incal is rebelling, but it needs help. And it asks the crew to offer themselves to it. Of course, Saloon, best boy, he offers himself first and is immediately immolated, bursts into flame. John, and then one by one, the rest of them do it. Metabaron, Tanata, Kill, Anima, and Depot all sacrifice themselves. And he's so bummed. He's like really upset about it. Who wouldn't be? You know, you don't want to watch all your friends like burn up alive. And he's like, oh no. Oh, he's all alone. It's terrible. John, horrified, refuses to give himself over as usual. He's like, no, I'm not giving you shit. But it doesn't matter. Using the crew's energy, the Incal pushes through the very heart of the darkness. The Incal becomes translucent as they breach the core of darkness, which is made of light. So, you know, going back to Taoism, you have the yin yang, where you have, you know, the black and the white, you know, are a part of one whole. And there's a dot of white in the black and a dot of black in the white. And so that's where we're headed. You know, we're going through the yin, and we're finally finding the yang part of it, the light at the heart of darkness. There's also, you know, darkness at the heart of light. And I do like the sacrificing of themselves. Like they have to like forget themselves. Like that is the final thing. You know, if you think about, you know, all this meditation business and all the stuff that they've been doing and like all these heroics they've been going through. And it's like, they're so heroic that they're just like literally like give themselves up, like no problem. Like they're so spiritually advanced that they're just like, yes, let's go. And also just like, oh my God, like as they burst through, like it gets really psychedelic. You have all these like weird little like patterns and like foldy things of these like odd colors. I'm always very like mesmerized by these patterns every time I look at this page. I'm just like, oh, that's just such a great way to denote that. Because again, as an artist, you're like, oh, okay, so just this, you know, crazy Chilean man is like, oh, they will go into the darkness and they will bust through and it is a light inside. This is my Jodorowsky impression. Into the light, you know, just draw it. And it's like, how do you draw that? You know, like, how do you draw that? Like, it's just, it's very, it's an, you know, it's an ask. And again, Mœbius just came through. He came through so hard and he did it in such a great way. That's just like, wow. Like, that's the perfect way to draw this scenario and make it cool and psychedelic. And like you're, creating order out of darkness. Exactly. Kind to yourself and others. There's like all these nice little patterns. And it's just very psychedelic and it's very well done. Very well done. As always, you know, whatevs. It just knocks my socks off. So the Incal and John are on a journey towards the truth, the center of existence. They're going through some 2001 Stargate business. If you've seen 2001, where Bowman is going through the Stargate, this is kind of very reminiscent of that to me. And once they are through, oh, and also too, I just want to say that they've entered the Dot dream. I think that's how you pronounce it. Dot is a Kabbalistic sphere. So we went from the theta dream and then they're like, oh, we got to go even deeper, right? And so, okay, so let's take a look here. So we have Malkuth. This is material existence, right? This is material existence. Okay. Here, this is like theta dream business. And here, this is the world of formation. This is the world of action. This is the world of formation or Yetzirah, where we have Yesod, Hod, and Nezak. And this is kind of like more of your mental plane. This is like the barrier that that Saloon broke into when he was facing off against the darkness. This is like the mental plane. And then here, we've got like the world of creation, Tifereth, Gabora, Hesed. And then here is Da'at, or Doth. I say Dot. It sounds weird. But this is also a Sephira that is there and not there at the same time. It's something that's like counted but not counted. It is considered the sphere of knowledge. And it is the sphere that separates. You have the Briatic world here, the world of creation. And then up here, you have Absoluth. This is the world of archetypes. So, like, there's, like, a real big jump here. Because, like, these are all, like... This is, like, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit up here. You know, like, these are, like, your heavy hitters going on up here. But this is, like, there's no concepts here. Like, it's so... high above like what we can understand. Like it's incomprehensible. And if you make it up here, you're just kind of like absorbed into it. You're just like, oh. And we talked about this in my in the episode where I was talking about the Scarlet Witch show, where I talk about like crossing the abyss and doing all that. And so this is kind of like Da'at is the abyss that you have to cross in order to kind of find your like enlightenment and stuff. You go to Banah, that's like the next one. So anyways, so, you know, we got to go all the way through here. You know, we got to get out of this theta dream. We got to go even deeper. And also I think it's interesting too, because it's like, okay, so here's like the theta dream. And then on their way to Da'at, they like end up sacrificing themselves, which is very Tifereth. You know, they're all like in that little circle and then they're all like burning up. And like Tifereth is very much like a very sacrificial zone right here. So it's like they're going straight this way. Like they're not going on through all the spheres. They're just kind of going straight up this path right to the top here. So yeah. Hold on. So they're going here, and this is where you also have to abandon like knowledge, like where it's like logic doesn't make, like logic breaks down at this point, and you have to transcend logic, and you have to go into knowledge that's like innate, like knowledge that's in your soul, like soul knowledge. And here's like another little diagram where, you know, it's located at the throat, which I think is really interesting. Da'at. Knowledge is located there, and that's going to play into our next thing. So just kind of keep this in mind. So we bust through and we make it to God. We make it to this is like, I feel like this isn't like the God. Like I don't think we've made it to like Kether, you know what I'm saying? Because again, it's like it's Kether, you can't even like, it's like not, there's no forms. There's no form. This is a form. So they are in the Da'at dream now. And like they meet the Demiurge. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the concept of the Demiurge, but there is, in many religions around the world, there is a figure that creates the material realm, that creates the universe physically. In the ancient Egyptian, it's Ra. In the ancient Greek, it's Kronos. In the Norse mythology, it's Odin. And in the Christian world, it's Yahweh. So, because there's different, you know, there's different stuff. It's like they just say God, but then there is kind of like different stuff going on. So, and he calls himself Or, and I was like O-R-H, like what is that? Is that like Odin, Ra, and like Yahweh or something? You know, like I was like, where did he get Or? I have no idea. Fun fact, guys, after Incal Club was over, we were talking about it on Twitch about Or. O-R-H. Where does this come from? What is it? It was driving me nuts. I couldn't figure it out. And Sassoa came through. It is the Hebrew word for light. O-R-H. Hebrew word for light. He's the eternal light. It totally makes sense. Sassoa came through. Thank you so much for saving Incal Club. I was so frustrated that I couldn't figure it out, and you did it. Thank you. Or is light. And fun fact, going back into, if you remember, Da'at is at the throat. This is the sphere of the Kabbalah that's associated with the throat. And here we're meeting the Demiurge in the Da'at dream. And if you go back and you look at a lot of creation myths, again, through the ages, through many different ones from all over the world, the Demiurge creates the universe through speech. He says, he says the universe into being. You know, the Word was with God and God was the Word. And he said, let there be light. But it's not just a Christian trope. It is a trope that is used. I shouldn't call it a trope, but I don't know if that's blasphemous. But it is something that is utilized in lots of different creation myths. And I think that's really interesting that we are in the dot zone. We're meeting the Demiurge, and this is the place that is on at the throat. Totally makes sense. Absolutely checks out. So they meet the Demiurge. He calls himself the Eternal Light. He was sent to create this time and space. So again, he's sent to create this time and space. So he comes from somewhere else. So he comes from that supernal triad. Like, we don't go to the top of the tree of life. Like, we're still in this level here. And he explains that the great darkness was an accumulation of negative forces in the human soul. And that accumulation of negative forces, you know, obfuscates Or's presence from all of the people in the material universe. So they don't understand, they don't know for sure if there is this overarching figure or not, this creative divine being. But he also says the great darkness is as much a part of him as the light is, and that he sent his beloved son, the Incal, to banish the darkness, and is the seed of the new creation. And he asks the Incal to pierce his heart and absorb his energy and become the creator of the new universe. It's time to just start over. We just start over. And the Incal is reborn as a star child and is the new time and the new space and is brought into being. And John wonders why he's allowed to see all of this. He's like, why me? Like, who am I? Like, why am I allowed to be seeing this? And it's interesting. I was thinking about that philosophical question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is allowed to hear it, does it make a sound? And I mean, from a materialist point of view, that sounds like a really dumb question, because it's like, of course it makes a sound. It falls, there's going to be sound waves. But that's not really what the question is asking. What the question is asking on a philosophical level is that if there's no one to witness something, like, does it happen? Like, can something exist without being perceived by consciousness? And does the unobserved world function in the same way as the observed one? And as we know through quantum physics, weird shit happens when you look at a particle. Like, it behaves differently. It won't do the same thing. And so matter is changed by perception, like human perception. Observing something does, in fact, change it. And I think it's really interesting that, like, I feel like he's the one who's got to be there to observe, you know, like, he is the quintessential human, you know, and he is there to observe. And the star child tells him he is the eternal witness, a drop of water that will never become one with the great ocean. And John he gets it. He finally gets it. Our boy finally gets it. He understands the beauty and the truth of reality. He has to literally see God before he gets it. He has to literally see fucking God before he gets it. And he's like, please let me become one with your pure consciousness. I will sacrifice myself. Let me be absorbed. And he is rejected on the grounds that he must live again in order to learn. And again, I saw some people in the comments talking about this, but yes, this is very 2001. We have a star child at the end of 2001. 2001 came out before this and definitely has influenced this. And I think it's great. I love it. I love 2001. I love the 2001 influence. I'm not hating on it. I just wanted to put that out there and let you know that like the Star Child is the thing. It's like a very similar thing happens to Bowman at the end where he's like becomes a Star Child and is reincarnated and like to bring the new evolution and all this fun stuff. So anyways, so oh fuck, why is it doing that? Give me the full screen. Anyways, I don't know why it's showing that thing at the top, but he's rejected on the grounds that he must live again in order to learn. John Difool is cast back onto the material plane where he must remember that the only true love is the divine one, John. That all is one. You just got to remember that. And don't be fooled by the illusion of separateness. And here we go again. We're back at Suicide Alley. And desperately trying to remember what he's just learned from talking to God. And he finds himself just getting pulled right back into that drama. Like, how can you remember all that while this is going on? And that's like such a perfect... It's such a perfect way to talk about like being born into reality and why we forget. It's just like, it's so scary and crazy here. And it's such a fucked up ride and you're fearing for your mortal life. And it's just, and it's like, you feel everything and there's all this pain and the suffering. And it's just like, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember that everything is one and that, you know, it's all love and the true love is the divine one. And, you know, that's just, you fucking start falling down an alleyway and you forget real quick. You'll forget real quick about all of that. So, and we got to start all over. And again, I love that Mœbius decides to redraw this panel. He doesn't cheapskate us. He doesn't go back and just kind of, you know, retrace his homework. He does this scene again. He draws this a whole other time. It's even like from a little bit of a different angle. It's great. But this time, in the first one, we didn't see John's face at all. Like the first time that he's falling down the shaft, like you don't see any of that. But this time you do see his face, which I think is a nice change, especially with like, okay, he's leveled up a little bit. Like, and hopefully in this incarnation, he'll be less of an asshole. He probably won't be like, you know, the number one boy of the, you know, humanity, but maybe he'll be a little bit better. Maybe. We'll see. He's been reincarnated. It's time to do it again. And that's, you know, at the heart of, you know, Hinduism and things like, you know, some Eastern tradition philosophies where it's like, that's the whole situation is that you keep getting reincarnated and thrown back onto the material plane because until you remember, until you're able to transcend and then just join up with the pure consciousness and not have to come back down here again. You're just going to keep doing that until you figure it out and you achieve enlightenment. So, wow. What a spiritual journey. What a spiritual journey. I told you guys you're going to go on a spiritual journey. And I feel like I delivered. I feel like it's not me, really. I helped guide you through Jodorowsky and Mœbius' spiritual journey that they delivered with such stunning, just flying colors, like literally flying colors, as you can see. The scale is amazing. Lucky poser turtle. I agree. Let me make myself a little bit bigger. And we did it. We did it, guys. We read the Incal, and now you're ready for the live action film. And let's just all pray that our homeboy does a good job adapting this, because it's tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Okay? It's going to be tough. But I think, you know, I think it's doable. I think you can take some stuff from this and like, you know, he's going to have to like, Taika Waititi's going to have to simplify some things and whatever, but there's just so many great ideas going on and so many interesting things, and it's just so beautiful and colorful and fun. And I'm praying for Taika Waititi to adapt this well. It's a tough one. But I think if anyone can make something cohesive out of this, I feel like he's one of our best options. Absolutely. Sassawa says, I can't even imagine how you would adapt this. I mean, I kind of can, honestly. Like, no one ever... Hollywood doesn't ask me for my opinion. That's not something that they're into or do, unfortunately, for me and for you. But I would have some ideas, and I wish they would bring me in on it. I'm just like, just let me help. Just give me the script. Just like when you have a script, even a first draft, give me a script. Let me give you notes. Let me read it. I'm good at that. I'm really good at giving good notes for scripts. Like, that's what I love doing that. And I love reading scripts. It's super fun. So, and again, I don't know, Super Sorceress, that's a good question. I don't know if this is going to be, I assume it's going to be a live action movie. I don't know that for certain. It would probably be better if it was animated. I would prefer it, honestly, to be animated. It makes more sense as an animated movie, 100%. But you know how fucking stupid America Hollywood crap is. It's like, we gotta make it a live action film, you know, or people won't want to watch it because then it's just gonna be for kids if it's animated. It's just for kids, animated. It's silly. It's serious. We gotta make it with real people, or it's not serious. You're just like, ugh. After watching Akira, it's like, shut up. Like, please, like, we're the worst sometimes. Like, oh no. So yeah. And that's exactly the way they talk. Exactly. Not really, but I don't know why that voice came out of me, but it did. I don't know. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you for coming with me on this spiritual journey. I have had a fantastic time going over this magical comic book with you. It's been such a fun, wild ride, and I feel really positive about the whole thing. I'm so glad that I reread it. I've learned a lot. I don't know about you, but I certainly, going back into this is the second time that I've read it, and it makes a lot more sense this time around for me personally. It makes a lot more sense. Oka Pass says, more Yodaverse. Maybe, we'll see. The problem with doing more Yodaverse is that it's hard to get. Like, a lot of the things are out of print. I would love to do the Meta Barons, but it's fucking out of print, and it's like $300 to get a copy of it. So I don't know if it's gonna work. That's up to Simon & Schuster and Humanoids to figure that out. You know, if maybe with the new movie coming out, it'll spark re-releases and stuff, and we can talk about it then. But yeah, and I'm just so proud of you guys for coming along with me and having a great time and reading a comic book. It's one of those things where people really don't like to read comic books. I feel like it's easier to get people to read like a book than it is to get them to read a comic book for some reason, which doesn't make sense to me because like a comic book is, you know, a little easier to read. Some of them are still really fucking hard to read, but it's like, you know, I'm just so proud of you guys for showing up and showing out and reading this with me. And it's, you know, give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a pat on the back. And as for May's Meditation Motivation Challenge, we're heading into week 5. I don't know if you guys are still doing it. I've been doing it. I had a real struggle this week. I was struggling with it. 20 minutes is tough. Like, I had a few days where I did it and I was like, no problem, no sweat. And then I had some other days where I was like, oh my God. One day it failed. I just failed. I had to abort mission. I was just like, I can't do this. And I aborted mission. And then other days where I've just been like, oh, I just keep like I'm having a hard time. So I've been struggling, but I'm still doing it. And if you want to keep going for week 5, you can go into a 30-minute daily practice. I think that I'm not ready for 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is, on a technicality, I'm going to split it into 2 15-minute practices. I'm going to do one in the morning and maybe like one in midday or one at night. I'm going to try to do 2 15-minute practices for the rest of the week. Because I just, maybe if I'm having a good day, I'll try the 30 minutes. But, you know, 15 minutes is kind of like 20 is like pushing it. 15, I feel like I'm doing better with. So I'm gonna try, and I hope you guys keep going too. But I want to continue trying to do a daily meditation practice. This has also been very healthy for me personally. Honestly, I'm a human being too. I can be selfish, and this is more me selfishly. Like I just am doing this because I need motivation to do this, because I don't meditate. And if I have to talk about it with you guys, and if I'm leading the group, then I kind of have to do it, and it forces me. I feel like I'm using my ego in a positive sense, because I don't want to look lame and be like, oh, I didn't do it, so it's like I have to do it because I want to look cool for you guys. So this has been, but again, that's a way that you can use your shadow self in a positive way. So yeah, so this has been great. I love you guys so much. Don't forget, I do have some Incal merch left on danikaxix.bigcartel.com, and our next book club, if you're interested and you want to keep reading with me, we will be reading Heretics of Dune. That's right, Heretics of Dune Club is coming out soon. I'll be doing a Dune box sale in the next coming month, so be on the lookout for that. And I can't wait to read that. And it'll be a double stuffed situation, because you'll get both Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune, and we're going to read both of them by the end of the year. That's right, we're doing 2 6-week courses with a little bit of a break in between. These are 2 600-page novels. They're fucking crazy. Please don't go out and buy the wrong book. For this, you need a very specific book, because Dune has no chapter numbers. It has no chapter numbers. So when I assign you specific chapters to read, I have to do it through page numbers. And so you need the specific page numbers from this specific copy that I'm going to sell to you, or you can go get it yourself, but just wait and get the copy that I'm asking you to get, so it makes it easier on yourself and on me and on everybody. Because I have to just assign page numbers. That's how it is. But I'm really excited to read the last 2 Frank Herbert Dune books. They're 2 parts of one story. It takes place thousands of years from the last book, from God Emperor. So buckle up. We're going even further into the future. And this is post-scattering. In our last book, Leto died. Spoilers. And he had humanity in a big old timeout. And so after he died, humanity went bananas, and we're like, baby is not going to be in a corner anymore, and we are going to go explore the motherfucking galaxy. We got to get the fuck out of here. So there was an event after the famine times, because there's a bunch of people that died. After the famine times, there was the scattering, and a bunch of people just went out into the universe and just started doing God knows what. Who knows? Lots of weird shit's going on out there. I mean, it's like one of those things where you have the old empire, which is kind of like this core of planets, but then the scattering, you have now like the old empire, or the million planets as it's called, is now surrounded by, again, who knows, like some crazy shit has been going on out there in these last few thousand years, and other societies and other things have totally developed. And so yeah, we have a big old 2-part crazy story about, this one really centers on the Bene Gesserit. And we finally get to see the inner workings of the Bene Gesserit. We've just kind of been on the outside of them, kind of for the last 4 books. So it's really fun to finally get on the inside and see the inner workings of the Bene Gesserits, and they become the heroes. They are the heroes of our story, and they are desperately trying to defend themselves and the old empire from these whores from the scattering called Honored Matres. They are a twisted group of women, a female society, much like the Bene Gesserit, who enslave men with their pussies. they can give you such crazy sexual satisfaction that you'll just lose your mind. Like, men will just totally lose themselves in this ecstasy and become like pussy addicts. I mean, it's addictive. Like, it's like a drug. You got to keep getting a hit of that. And so through that, they enslave lots of dudes and bend them to their will. And, and they're just really materialistic and shitty. And so they're giving the Bene Gesserits a real run for their money. It's a real problem. And the BG have got to figure out, how do we stop these fucking whores? We gotta stop them. Like, where do they come from? Why are they here? We've got to, like, they're just killing us. They're just killing so many of us. Like, this sucks. Like, this is really bad. We cannot let them take over because, as you know, the Bene Gesserit, I mean, they're definitely manipulative. They definitely manipulate men through sex. I'm not saying they don't do that, but they don't make it to where it's like, if there's still a choice available, there's always a choice available. They don't enslave people and they don't weaken them and make them into these like kind of drug addicts where they're just totally dependent upon them. They're like, no, that's really gross. That's like against our thing. So there's a lot of really fun characters. Duncan Idaho's back. We got another Duncan Idaho. You can fit so much fucking Duncan Idaho in Frank Herbert's Dune series. So we got some Gola business happening for sure. We have and a lot of other Atreides people. These are people who they're Atreides, but they're not, they're obviously Atreides who've been bred thousands and thousands of years down the line. But you have Odrade, who is an Atreides scion. You have Miles Teg, who is a Bashar for he's like a military leader for the Bene Gesserits, and he is so badass. And he's kind of like if Duke Leto didn't die and he just got to be a cool guy and be a military leader. It's like if you like Duke Leto's character, like, because they even talk about how he looks just like him. Like, Miles Teg looks like Duke Leto, except he didn't have to die and have a terrible fucking sacrifice happen. And he just got to be a really badass military commander for the Bene Gesserits. And he's got some fun powers that unlock. And then you've got, Lucilla, who's another Atreides bred Bene Gesserit woman who's really cool. You've got Marbella. There's just so many good ones. There's just so many good, cool Atreides-like characters in this. So get ready. So, yes. yes, System and Eve. Yes, these are the Atreides in the next books. So you have the new generation of Atreides, and they're leading it and fucking it up. There's also Shiana. There's a dune waif. By the way, Arrakis has been transformed back into a desert. So it was a green planet. Now it's back into a desert. And all those worms, all those sandworms, or not sandworms, all the sand trout that came off of God Emperor, they've turned into sandworms, and they're giant, and they're a little different, a little more aggressive. The sandworms are a little different. And there is a little Fremen girl in the desert who's able to control them. Shiana. So there's a lot of really cool, fun characters. So get ready. It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. I just reread both of the books recently. So get ready for Dune Club 2. Or Heretics of Dune Club and Chapter House Dune Club, our final Dune Club. It's the final Dune Clubs. This is it. Then we're out. So Marbella hype. I know. I'm so excited for Marbella as well. She's such a great character. So that is it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this spiritual journey. I love you all, and I will see you soon on a new YouTube video before we get into our next Dune Book Clubs. I love you very much, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Mwah.